Let's talk. As most of you know, I live in the newly formed Principality of Vindheim. And with a new principality comes a big push to help establish and codify a new culture, a new way of kind of seeing the game and the world around us, and new awards. Now, I really hesitated in making this because there are a lot of awards, and none of them, as of now, have made it through the College of Heralds to be formally registered with their names and their whatever their insignia are going to be. In fact, there are no insignia. Right now, everyone who has received any of the Principality Awards has gotten a promissory note with the Populous badge on it. Now, that's registered, but none of these awards have insignia. So that really does beg the question, why am I doing this video now? Why don't I wait until everything is formalized so I can show you guys the arms, I can show you guys the insignia, I can talk about whatever the registered name is. And that's a fine argument, but the Principality is here now and these awards are being given out, and these awards, some of them are like every other award. They require award recommendations. They require us, the populace, to reach out to the sitting prince and princess and tell them what we are seeing. So that being said, I wanted to start this conversation now, and whatever comes of it, whatever changes as the college registers, comes up with insignia and registers the names and whatever the names change to, and even whatever tweaks may take place in the awards, in the details of the awards, I am confident that the core concepts being laid out here by originally Their Excellencies Romanus and Deanna, and now their current Territorial Highnesses Jean-Paul and Jillian, those are going to be true. Those are going to stay the same. So, like I said, it's a little bit of different philosophy in how we group our awards, how we recognize people, and I wanted to share this for the public consumption so that even if changes do take place, even if new things are added to the list, we have already started talking about what is there, and we understand what we can recommend people for at the Principality level as events come up and the prince and princess are able to recognize our populace for their various deeds. So I'm just going to start. This is actually based off a collection of statements made online by the original Highnesses, Romanus and Deanna, talking about the awards that they had created. This is the best information we currently have. I'll be paraphrasing where I need to for sake of brevity. But this is also the order that it was listed in when I found it. Now first we're going to start off with the Bastion. And I'm going to start with Her Highness, at the time, Her Highness's words. There shall exist in Vindheim an order which shall be given by the Vindheim coronets only once per reign unto such persons who exemplify the spirit of the dream in Vindheim and inspire the populace to greater deeds and services. The candidate should be a person that Vindheim relies on for the betterment of the Principality, using their skills and talents, and by whose absence the Principality would be greatly deprived of a valuable member. This order shall be called the Order of the Bastion of Vindheim, hereafter referred to as the Order. So a little bit of legal technicalities there. That was largely taken from the proposed, I believe the proposed text for Kingdom, or for the Principality law. But in short, and I remember when they created this, when they announced it in court for the first time, and the Bastion is intended to create a pool of people whose leadership and whose skills has applied to the Principality, create a resource for future leadership to consult with and fall back on, to use the medieval concept, the men of business, like I've talked about in the past, the people who know how to get things done. The Bastion is as the order grows, will become that reserve for the council of the prince and princess. Now, like it said, they can only create one per reign, and it is to be considered a very prestigious order. Though again, right now, none of these awards have any rank, so this is a non-armigerous award. And it was, by His Highness's words at the time of its announcement, it was to be handled in a very similar fashion as the Ansteuern Lion, which I talked about in my video on non-AOA, non-armigerous awards. So very prestigious, very important, but carries no rank. Now, the Crimson Firebolt. Certainly a very vigorous title. This award, this is an award commemorative of a martial event of excellence that the coronet has personally witnessed. So more or less it's a fighting award, and specifically made for something that takes place in the direct witness of their highnesses. Again, not something that you or I would necessarily, currently anyway, write a recommendation for. It's meant to be an on-the-spot recognition of martial prowess, any of the martial fields. Now, this is an interesting one, the Colden Comb. Now, I'm sure everyone there, I remember when they announced this, everyone there was going, comb? Like comb your hair? No. This right here, I'm going to read the words of Her Highness when she announced this, and it actually is a really, really cool concept. If you know about bees, you understand that a honeybee's lifespan is only a month or two. When bees are collecting nectar in the spring, it is for the benefit of future generations of bees that don't yet exist, and they will never see. With a youth order, we wanted to evoke that feeling of the passage of time. The youth of Vindheim, who excel as minors, even despite the limitations of their age and circumstances. We expect them to continue to excel as they grow into their majority. With an order, you are admitted once, but even though only youth are admitted, you never age out. It is fully our expectation that someday, during court, when the newest member is welcomed into the order, everyone will be able to look around and realize that amongst the knights and MODs and laurels and pelicans and landed and perhaps even crown and coronet at the time, that amongst their ranks are so many members of the Order of the Colden Comb of Vindheim, welcoming a new youth with the promise of the future into their midst. So, long story short here, I really like what their highnesses wanted to do with this, and I really like the concept. The idea being that the order, you never age out of the order, and only youth can get in, but that gives the 10-year-old, the 12-year-old, the child of whatever age, a direct connection with an order which hopefully in the future will include peers and royals and nobles, so that he can walk up to them. You know, a newly or recently admitted 10 or 12 or 13-year-old can say, hey, I have the same award as you, and that gives them that connection. It gives them inspiration, and it gives a metric for communication. You can walk, when you're a kid, you can walk up to that peer or that noble or that royal and say, we're in the same order, can I ask you a question? And does that really change anything in the grand scheme of things? No, any child bold enough or brave enough to walk up to a royal or peer, and don't tell me it doesn't take a measure of boldness or courage to walk up to one of these big, quote unquote famous people when you're a kid and say, I have a question. It does, and I admire the children that have that gut sometimes. But this is a mechanism to help encourage it, to help create that connection. Now, I do have to tell you, there's a funny story behind this. I was there when they announced the first recipients. It was two brothers who I'm really good friends with their parents. And they called them into court. And you watch these two kids jump out of their chairs and go thundering down the aisle at full speed. And about halfway down the aisle, they both stop at the same time and they look at each other. And there's this great big, wide-eyed expression. You could see exactly what they were thinking. And they look back and they realize they'd left mom and dad at the back of the aisle, and mom and dad are trying to keep up, but little kids are going to make land speed records as mom and dad are still getting out of the chair, and they go running back the aisle, and they grab mom and dad's hands, and this time all four of them made their way up to the royal presence, and everyone bowed and the two boys went forward. But just that expression of yes, yes, yeah, wait, we forgot mom and dad, back the way they came. It was great. So the Colden Comb is, like I said, it's a really unique take on youth awards, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future holds, because the next couple of years are going to be very interesting. Now, another award, and this is kind of a formality. We knew this was coming, but we were curious what the name was going to be. Members of the territorial royalty who were consorts of the winner of the tournament shall become members of the Golden Dove. Now, the Order of the Dove was the original order for the consorts to the tournament winners for the Principality of Vindheim, which, when it became a kingdom, the order closed, and the Order of the Rose is established as a society-wide order for consorts to the crown. But each principality can name its own consort, past consorts, and ours is the Golden Dove. Now, two awards here, and in this one I read these very closely, and it was very interesting. The first, the Order of the Clavis of Vindheim. And again, I'm going to read from Her Highness's at the time, Her Excellency Deanna's words. Clavis is Latin for key, and the key represents the trust and confidence of the coronet. Each coronet gifts their own key, somehow unique, identifiable to them as a token of gratitude, and the recipient carries the key in the future as a visible sign of the gratitude of that particular coronet for their service and support. These are the people who take an entourage shift at an event, attend the coronet, help with setup and tear down, and likewise take time out of their event to personally help the coronet with all the practicalities of the day. So, in a nutshell, this is service to the coronet, and the insignia is some sort of a key. Again, the details of that insignia have not been codified to my knowledge. I have not actually seen any keys given out, but it is a long-standing tradition that when something like this comes up and it's new, at least on Stiora, past dues are paid, and I imagine that when this award is, for the people who receive this award, there will be some sort of keys given out from Romanus and Deanna, and from hopefully JP and Jillian as they move forward. But that is, again, service to the coronet. Now, the Clavis Clavium of Vindheim. This is Latin for key of keys, and the holders of these also carry the token of a key that is somehow unique, identifiable to each coronet. These keys are to be somehow fancier and more elaborate than the Clavis keys for the same reign. The Clavis Clavium are tokens of gratitude from the coronet to their core entourage. The ones who spent countless hours behind the scenes, the ones who went above and beyond, the entourage whose counsel, moral support, discretion, energy, and extensive personal service were critical to the success of that particular reign. So this is, again, service to the coronet at a above and beyond level. And again, that is the Clavis Clavium. Now, I'm not suggesting either of these would require an award recommendation, but it is still good that we as the populace understand these awards exist and what they represent. So when we see people who have them, we understand why they got them.